Hey,
Hey,
Hello and welcome to Sinners Live, Weekend Edition. So I want to welcome Cosplay Nation to the Sinners, and, welcome. So what exactly do you guys do?
well, Cosplay Nation is a group of well, it's a documentary all about cosplaying across the United States. That's how we first started out. We've been working on the documentary since 2010, filming since December 10th, 2010, and finished filming December 10th, 2013. We've been editing it for the past year or so to get the essence of cosplay. It's basically an educational documentary all about cosplay from the past to the present and to the future. We've done a lot of things of late, like putting everything into a timeline for neutrality in a way. And that's what we've been doing because it needs to be done. A lot of people think cosplay was just created in the 80s. It's not. It's actually almost about 70 years old, per se. And, but I thought it was a fascinating subject for a documentary that we have. That's what we did, and Cosplayer Nation is actually a group that tries to help out cosplayers as well as non-cosplayers to get a feel of what cosplaying is, per se.
And what got you guys into cosplaying exactly?
Well, I'm not much of a cosplayer. My partner Ook is actually more of the cosplayer than me. But per se, I've seen his work as well as his cosplay, and I thought he was a fascinating subject for this person to help out with because he is more into the cosplaying field than I am. Uh, I do something. I did my interpretation of the dude from the Big Lebowski. I try to not do as much elaborate cosplay because I feel that my body is my body. I mean, I don't want to have. I appreciate everybody who puts makeup on and does all this fashion and stuff, and for me, I like just to be very laid back and very neutral. That's why I pretty much did the dude.
Well, you can't get much laid back than that.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about the people that have said that you should only cosplay the type for your body? That you shouldn't cosplay any other type? Like, there are people, heavier set people that play the skinny characters, and people say they shouldn't be allowed to do that. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I mean this. I love people dressing up no matter what they do. I mean, if you're heavy set and you want to dress up looking like a person, looking like a skinny person, be my guest. But keep in mind, I don't want you to get hurt. I mean, that's the problem. I've seen a lot of great people dress up in costume, and they put on harnesses to pull, to try to get that figure. And in the long run, it hurts. It can hurt a person. And I don't want a person to be hurt. Or, I don't want them to actually feel like they have to be that skinny to dress up as that character. In my mind, it would just be, great to have you dress up as what you feel like and don't care what other people think or say. There are some people that use that as an inspiration to lose the weight, to exude that type of character, which is great. We talked about that in the documentary. A woman who dressed up as Samus had the courage and the conviction to lose a lot of weight to dress up as Samus Aran. But there are people that, who want to dress up as Samus Aran from middle, what is it called? Oh, God, Metroid. Fine. Just keep in mind that I don't want people to get hurt. And you can dress up as any character as you want. Just please keep in mind that your body is your body. And that most times you can hurt yourself by putting on a garter to try to fit that costume. Let the costume fit you, not the other way around.
It's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you the order of operations, so we're installing the patch on this one, and then we're going to restart this engine, and then after that we'll go to engine 1, do the same thing, install the patch, and then restart that, and then...
Let's see if he notices.
So that'll create a failover.
Yep.
And we're failing over, we'll be on engine 2 as a primary.
Right.
And what I want to do is I want to do another failover and put it back on engine 1.
Exactly, yeah, back to 1. Yep, we can do that. So right now, 2 is rebooting.
Well, this is, we did this as a event. We both have jobs, and Mr. Lee forgot that his mic's now back on.
Oh, this is funny.
It's interesting that it's on somebody's project that's not.
I know you've seen this.
I could edit this out, but I've got the temptation just to leave it in when I do edit.
So, any other questions?
I threw all the questions out the window when that started. Are you gonna, now that your film is in production and everything, and it's finished other than editing, are you gonna continue to film cosplayers and go to conventions and stuff like that?
Well, we have been doing that. Not as much as we have actually done in the past. I know Mr. Lee himself has gone to some conventions and has done some interviews, but not as much because in the sense we have about 6 terabytes of raw data. That means raw footage.
Yeah.
So, jokingly aside, I say we have enough to do 2 documentaries and a television show.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, now he shut off his microphone, so that's good. But all to say is that cosplaying itself is not going to go away. I mean, we found far back as the Renaissance, as well as all the way up to today. But it really didn't start, the sci-fi aspect didn't really start until like 1938, when one guy dressed up as a futuristic costume, and decided to go to Worldcon. So that's where cosplay actually started. It's actually an American concept. It was known as costume play until the 80s, when a Japanese magazine writer, now editor, Tokunishi Takahashi, I hope I'm saying his name right, I do apologize, it's hard enough to say, couldn't write costume play in Japanese, so he just merged both words together and call it cosplay.
It really is funny to hear that it comes from America, because when you think of cosplay, of course, everyone instantly thinks of anime and video games, because that's where a lot of it is popular now. But if you ask the younger audience, they're going to say, no, it had to come from Japan.
Yes. A lot of people, there is a little bit of, with the old cosplayers, they like to be called costume play. versus cosplayers because they think that more is a Japanese terminology. But more or less, you won't see those types of people. You don't see those types of people. You see those people less and less, not more and more. Well, I'm a costume player, not a cosplayer. That's anime. That's manga. No, that's still it's. If I ever hear that, I'm just going to tell the person it's still the same meaning. Just it's still the same word, still the same meaning. It's just abbreviated. So that's all it is. And I mean, kids are now getting better and better at it. I've seen some costumes from the 70s, and wow, they were elaborate. Hell, I've seen some costumes um, from the 50s. I mean, you gotta realize some people, when Star Wars came out, when they thought of dressing up as a Chewbacca or Darth Vader, they made their own costumes.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures in that, and my mom's a huge Star Wars fan, so she would tell me how in New York when they would go to the cons and they go to the movies, how people would be dressed up, and how it was in New York of all places they'd actually get looks. Like at that point, it wasn't something people were used to, so they'd get strange looks, but they wouldn't care. And it's interesting to hear stories about that kind of thing, and then you go to cons now, and you just see them walking down the streets, and everyone's like, "Ah, oh, they're just going to an anime con." It's
Well,
completely normal.
that's true. You also got to look at the Rocky Horror Picture Show stuff. Now some
Oh yeah.
dress up on that sort of stuff. You see men dressed up as Frankenfurter who's in drag. You see a lot of different aspects. I mean, cosplaying itself, it was dedicated to conventions, and then Halloween, and then that was it. Or you went to Disney World, or you went to Disneyland, or you went to a theme park where people were dressed up as characters. That's where you saw cosplay. But cosplay itself is getting more and more on the coming more and more out, per se. I mean, you'll see people dressed up as Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men. You'll see people even dressed up as their favorite characters that go to school, actually, as their characters. It's getting more to the forefront where it's becoming the norm, in a way.
Now, do you consider people that LARP, live action roleplay, do you consider them cosplayers too? Because they're dressing up as well. They're just really into the part. Although I've seen cosplayers that are too. So.
Yes, I consider. I mean, even though I'll probably get a boatload of hated emails stating that we are not cosplayers, but LARPers are in fact cosplayers. But they're OC cosplayers, or they're doing something like that, or or they're dressing up in Dungeons and Dragons and playing Dungeons and Dragons and doing LARPing things. So cosplay is not just Japanese anime or manga. No, it's everything that if you like dressing up, you like dressing up as a person in the Renaissance, Renaissance fair or a pirate festival or whatever. You're still considered, in my mind, a cosplayer. And you should be proud of that. You shouldn't hide or feel like, why am I getting looks? I mean, you should be proud. We had one person we had one of our guys that have helped us out. He invested a little bit of money into our cause, and I'm very much appreciated to him for helping us out. He said, well, what about LARPing? And I'm like, well, we could do a documentary about LARPing. We could do a documentary about the history of cosplay. We could do a documentary about the bad. We could do a documentary about the good. We just didn't want to do a 10-hour documentary because that's how long it would pretty much take.
Oh, I could see a 10-hour. I kind of wish conventions would do something with, like, cosplaying and LARPing combined, because I think that would actually be really awesome to see. And it's a shame not a lot of cons do that kind of thing.
Well, up here in Massachusetts and in the New England area, they do cosplay chest events. Where people dress up as characters from anime and manga, or you'll see Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VIII, and they'll dress up as those characters and be pieces of the chessboard. So basically, in a way, they're LARPing. You'll have, even here, I'm helping out a convention that's going on within next week or so. Well, I'm sorry, I have to remember what the date is. It's
Feel
November.
free to give out a shout out for them.
Yeah, Alternicon, the 15th through the 16th, they'll be doing cosplay deathmatch. So there are cosplaying and there's LARPing that is put together. And some conventions do it and other conventions don't. It just depends on the area that you are in or the part of the country that you're in. But yeah, it has happened. And LARPing and cosplay have connected to each other in ways like that.
I need to come to some of the cons near you, because we don't do that here. I actually went to a con, my first convention, I cosplayed as Edward Elric, because it had just come out. And because I'm so short, we had people trying to get me to do the rants and stuff. I did them.
God. I was at a convention in 2000, was it 2000? How long ago was Full Metal Alchemist that came out?
Had to be 2005 or 6? No, it had to be before 5 or 6. It's been out a while.
Yeah, I was at a convention where every young, small person, didn't matter if they're female or male, they dress up as Ed. And basically, there were a lot of people dressed up as Edric Elric. And I don't know if it was staged or not, but one of the guys said, "How you doing, shorty?" And every person that was dressed up as Ed Elric, Ed as Elric Elric, circled this person and said, in phrase, I will literally say this because it was funny as hell, "Don't call me short." All of them at the same time, and then decided to jump on top of the person.
Oh, that poor guy. See, there weren't many at the one I went to, except a few actual little kids. I was the only one that was well, I was still a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I kind of ran really fast out of that con that day.
Yeah. it was broken up within about a matter of seconds, but still, to see at least maybe 25 people dressed up as Ed circle one person and literally say, "Don't call me short."
That's when you film it and you put the Jaws music to it.
Yes. But, mostly, I wanted to do this because the documentary, to help not just cosplayers, to help me out. In April of that year, 2010, my mother died of pancreatic cancer. And I needed something that would help me go through not just the pain, but because my mother was so outgoing and she was a lovely woman, she would help out anybody. I wanted to do something that would not just educate cosplayers, but educate non-cosplayers as well. And that's how Cosplay Nation came to be. Because to show that, I just wanted to see something that, even if my mother was still alive, that she would be appreciated. She'd be happy. My father's still alive. He saw it, and he's an artist himself, so he went, "Where's a narrator?" So you have a narrator in the beginning, but I wanted to do. Hello?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to do something for my mother, And I wanted, because my mother was a very, like I said, very outgoing person. And she would tell me stories about where she went and, the cultures that she saw as a teen and that sort of stuff. And it just distilled something that would help not just me not just me emotionally, but to help out with other people who might feel disenfranchised for what they do because of it. And that's what I wanted to do on behalf of my mother.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Are you going to be selling the documentary and giving some of the money to pancreatic cancer research?
Um, well, we'll be selling the documentary, but I don't. Eh, that's a hard question since we have to, pay the bills, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have things beneficial to not just us, but beneficial to help out cosplayers in the United States. We might give a portion of the money to donate for cosplay for a cause or some type of charity event or charity. But that's going to be that will be decided when we really get the documentary out there and really get it fully finished and set up so that we could, help out. Uh, I'm not trying to dodge the question per se.
It's just too early to decide, right?
Yeah, it's way too early to decide. I mean, my mother passed away almost, well, yeah, about 4 years ago. And I don't want to get into the story because it's a very long story and it's a very painful story because um, my mother was conned out of all of her money by a con artist.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, and of course, we won. We won the court case, and now it's in the books under I think it's under Paul Pickhill versus the state, and my mother is in that, and my sister is trying to on her hardest since she's working and trying to figure out. She's trying to create a what is it called? A charity organization to help people who have been abused or hurt by their family or con artists or that sort of stuff. And for that, when that's set up, I think definitely that one I will definitely give some of the proceeds of the documentary to that cause because it's not just the senior citizens that get abused and used, it's people who have illnesses that are dying from. And it's not just people, it's not just the relatives, it's other people that try to use these people to make a fast buck. And that's what my sister is working on. I'm not working on that, but that will hopefully be up, and that will definitely, some of the proceeds of the documentary will go to that.
Well, let us know when that's live, and the Sinners will be happy to help. We might have an awful name, but we are very helpful.
Yeah.
Do you know when the documentary might be ready?
Oh, we're trying to get it. We're trying to get it finished by the end of the year. What I want to do is I want to get subtitling set up and done, and that's going to take. Since we've used a lot of our own capital to do the documentary, that's going to take some extra effort to try to find somebody who could help us do the subtitling as well as in other different languages because it might be 1 hour and 30 minutes long, it's still it's still pretty daunting to try to get every word or saying or
Uh-oh.
up and then put in closed caption in the documentary itself.
Have you thought of going to Indiegogo or any of the funding groups like that and see if you can get help that way?
We're in the works on that. Actually, we are in the works. We'll have something up on Indiegogo or GoFundMe or other things like that. We're actually trying to get down to your neck of the woods since the documentary is going to be shown at Animate Miami in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, if only I was close to Miami, I'd come see it.
Yes. Well, it's going to be at Animate Miami. It's November 14th through the 16th in Miami at the Miami International Airport.
So you hear that? Everyone in Miami, go see it. Go on.
Yeah. We showed it at Florida SuperCon at the film festival. We've shown the documentary as we've progressed at many different conventions and many different like I said, convention. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying convention. At conventions as well as events that are outside the conventions, in hotel rooms. We've shown it to other people to get the true aspect of what cosplaying is, to try to get the documentary to be as flow through as possible, but have the educational in it. So that's what we're trying to do with this documentary. Like I said, it's showing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're also showing the history. I mean, we show the history, the past, the present, the good, the bad, the ugly. We show a lot of stuff in about an hour and 30 minutes.
Now, I'm going to bring up something it's a touchy subject, and I know everyone has their opinions on it. What do you think of furries? I know there's a big thought process that there are certain type of people, but what do you think about them?
Furries are cosplayers themselves. I mean, they love what they want to do. And they have every right to, be who they want to be. We did a small interview in the documentary with a couple of furries. Some people have said, well, that's just misconstrued and that's blah, 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 blah. But you gotta understand, if you love what you do, then do it. We show just not as we show as just to break the ice a little bit about what media thought the furries were. The CSI episode, Furry Loving Las Vegas. But we only show one part of it, and it's a small part. It's the part where they go into the convention and what's the main character going fascinating? A group of people dressing up as characters.
Hey, quick update. I just ended my call. I'll be joining in like 5 minutes.
All right. A fascinating subject to, people dressing up as these animals, and the other character going, I feel like I have Hunter Thompson's flashbacks. This is freaking me out. But that's just to show what the media pretends the furries are. But the furries are people who just love dressing up in character and love dressing up as costume and animal to portray themselves as. I mean, I have no problems with furries, and hopefully they have no problems with us.
Well, how do you feel about how the media represents them as all being a bunch of degenerate... Well, I don't want to say what a couple of media people have called them, but there have been some mean people in the media.
Of course. I mean, look what happened with cosplayers now. I mean, it's not just furries, but it's also cosplayers themselves have been bashed in the media as well. I mean, yes, furries have a bad rep because of that CSI episode. I understand that. But you can't just bash people who want to do what they love doing. Because if you're just a hypocrite. You can't have an understanding unless you do it yourself. Then you can bash all you want. But until you have the time or the decency or the gumption to put on one of those suits, walk around a convention and 95-degree weather and sweat your brains out, and then you can go bash them all you want. But I think if you look at it if you look at it through their sets of eyes, then you just don't understand. I mean, furries themselves will furries themselves have had problems in the past, but all cosplayers have had problems in the past, and it's not just they're just the flavor of the month per se. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Though recently it's been bronies who are the flavor of the month.
Yes, of course. I mean, you look at in 2005 with Full Metal Alchemist. Look at Inuyasha. Look at Bleach, or look at those other things. And people have, a lot of people dress up in these characters or dress up as these characters. And some people, I mean, I'm not saying all of them, but I mean, you have some people that will do bad things. I'm saying a small percentage. I'm not saying a big percentage. I'm saying a very small percentage of some people will, make people feel uncomfortable because of what has happened.
Oh, there we go.
So,
Skype was acting up for a second.
oh.
See, it kind of amazed me because I'm someone that comes from the internet, as you can imagine. So it's always interesting when I go to cons. I see people as furries and stuff, and then you watch TV. And I was watching. We did a thing on stream where we showed the Dr. Phil episode where they showed furries, and he starts it off by saying, we're gonna show you all the nasty things that they do at their conventions, and all the footage is just them sitting around drinking coffee and stuff and talking, or just walking around. And it's amazing because these people in the show are like, oh, so horrible. They're not doing anything. I don't understand why it's such a bad stigma that they're doing such awful things when they're just walking around talking and having fun.
Listen, I'm a member of the media myself.
I'm sorry.
And you gotta realize you're a member of the media yourself.
All right, I'm back.
All right,
Welcome
you're
back.
a member of the media yourself. But you gotta realize what happens, what sells, what motivates. It's bad press or bad things. That will literally get people. Look at Jerry Springer, all right? Look at the Jerry Springer show. And I'm using that lightly. But if you look at that sort of stuff, violence, sex, things like that always sell more than the positive. And I mean, you gotta realize they're just having fun. And you can't be like, oh my God, they're drinking coffee. Well, a normal person would be drinking coffee. Oh my God, they're reading the newspaper and that sort of stuff. Everybody reads the newspaper. You can't just, dwell on the negativity. You have to be very open-minded. Dr. Phil, I can say this in my perspectives, is I mean, those shows always cause me a headache.
Wait, why are we talking about Dr. Phil?
He did an episode on furries.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really we did a stream of it where we were making fun of him. It's really painful to watch because he gives such a look of disgust to these poor people, and it's like they're not doing anything wrong. They can pay for their own stuff. They've got the money to make these costumes, and some of them were amazing. And he's putting them down, and it's like you're not near as creative as they are.
I see what you're talking about. I'm looking at the YouTube video right now. Wow, just kind of skimming through it. Animal obsessions.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, but I just mean, if then do you think the fact that a person dressing up as Jesus Christ, or a person dressing up as Moses, or Abraham, or Isaac, or that sort of stuff, are they obsessing about the Bible, the Torah, that sort of stuff? I mean, I've seen so much in these 4 years than people realize. I mean, jokingly aside, I could probably say this. Yes, I did take the blue. I did take the red pill, and yes, Alice did go into the rabbit hole. But but you gotta realize they just love doing what they do.
And there's no harm in that.
And there's no harm in that. And there's no feel they should have no ill will or that sort of stuff, because they just love what they do.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to do, because I'm doing San Diego hopefully this year, San Diego Comic-Con. I kind of want to dress up for it, but I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do.
Oh, I've been to San Diego Comic-Con.
What do you feel like doing?
I don't know, I might
What
just
do you
dress
wanna
up as
do
my
as?
mascot from my channel.
Yeah, just do that. I mean, that'll be cool. It's unique, original. I've seen a lot of cool things at San Diego where I was like, what the heck are they? And they're a mix of Playboy Bunny and True Blood, and, you know, just a lot of mutations of things that look very, you know, anime-ish, but they're their own original. Yeah, so just do that.
Yeah, Ook was interviewing a woman dressed up as, what was she dressed up from? She was dressed up as Street Fighter.
Cammy?
Yeah. And in the background, there was a guy dressed up from Dinotopia.
Yeah, we weren't sure where he was from. I mean, he was definitely on a dinosaur. So we thought it was either that or Jurassic Park. But I mean, we used it for a documentary. We were just talking. I was talking to this Cammy Street Fighter cosplayer, asking her about like, what do you see at San Diego? And she's talking about, well, you see Harry Potter. People kind of do their own thing. You might even see, and then coincidentally, there's a guy riding behind her in the background on a dinosaur, and he had definitely constructed this dinosaur, so it's like his own legs that are like built into the dinosaur suit. So he's like walking along, but it looked like he was riding on a dinosaur. So, yeah, you'll see anything there.
I did New York last year, and we were doing an interview with a board game group, and I look over because I'm doing the camera work, and I see this guy dressed as a giant robot to the point they actually had to help bend him down to get him into the exhibit room. And it was one of the most incredible costumes I've ever seen. I have no idea how he even managed to walk around in it. It was so big.
Wonder if it was Christoph.
Bumblebee?
It wasn't. I actually don't know what. It wasn't like a Transformer. It was just like, it looked like almost a Gundam-esque robot.
Oh, we might know that person.
I'll have to see if
it
I
a white
can find the
robot?
foot.
Was it a white robot?
Yeah, it might have been.
Did it have some like green? Because you mentioned New York Comic Con, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. It might have been that Bumblebee guy who does other giant robot costumes as well.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, trust me. If it's the same guy, he really sweats for his work, for his art. He really suffers for his art, and it's really interesting. On you know, we interviewed that guy. We've interviewed Khrushchev, right? Khrushchev, the giant robot.
Yep, that's right. We did.
Yeah,
We talked about how he made his robot outfit out of basically recycled computer parts, and he put
Boxes,
them together.
actually.
I'm sorry?
Computer boxes.
Yeah, computer boxes. Excuse me. Speaking of like, you know, crazy giant robot costumes. So here's something that I saw. Can I post pictures on here? Am I allowed
Yeah.
to do that?
Go ahead.
So I just do that through Skype, right? I just post them
Yeah,
on here.
and I
All
can
right.
show them in the stream.
Excellent. So I'll give you a preview while I'm looking for it. This is at New York Comic Con this year. There are like a ton of amazing kid cosplayers. And when I say kids, I mean like 6-year-olds, people who are shorter than I, and they do Transformer outfits. They do like Iron Man. So here's one that I saw on Sunday, and I think we're seeing actually a bit more of that nowadays. Back in my day, like 10 years ago, you didn't really see that as often. I think it was because it was mostly college kids or adults that did it. But now that they're growing up, now they got their kids dressing up as all these outfits. But this one was something that I'm sure maybe his mother helped him put together. But I mean, I'm sure he also probably had some inventiveness in it as well, not just like it was a collaboration of it. But oh, here we go. Just got to make sure this is, and this is a video we haven't posted yet, but we will be putting it up soon.